Hey everyone, my name is Riley, and this video is a complete Slack tutorial for beginners. This video is both going to be relevant for people who have never used Slack before, but they are a part of a team that already uses Slack and you need to learn how to use it, and for people who are owners of businesses and you want to use Slack for the first time to create your own Slack channel. This will include creating an account, both for if you are a team member and if you are an owner who wants to set up their own channel. I will also explain the entire Slack interface and how all of this works, including how workspaces work, how channels work, how you can communicate with your team, and everything else that you need to know about Slack as a beginner. To access Slack for the first time, you can either go over to slack.com or click on the top link in the description of this video, and this is going to take us over to Slack. When it comes to Slack, there are essentially two different methods and two different ways that you can go about setting up an account, depending on what you are going to be using this for. The first method is if you are already part of a team, like your company already has a Slack channel and you want to join. That is the first method that we will cover. So to do this, you just want to get the owner of the Slack channel to send you an invite. And once you have your Slack invite, you should get an email that looks like this. So it says join your team on Slack. We can then see the team right here. So all we do is click on join now, and then you can go through and create your account. So as you can see, it says we are accepting an invitation for this company. So we can enter in our name, then click on continue, and then it's going to load us into Slack right here and allow us to join this Slack team. Just like that, we are now a member of this team. The second option is if you want to create your own Slack workspace so that you are the owner of the Slack channel. To do this, just go over to slack.com or click on the top link in the description, and that's going to take you over to this page. From here, we want to click on Get Started in this top right corner. And once your account is created, we want to click on Create a Workspace right here. So we can click on Create a Workspace. It's then going to ask us to set up the workspace. So the first question is, what is the name of your company or team? So in here, I'm going to type GeForce North. Then we can go next. We then can set up our profile. So we can go into here and choose our name. So then I'm going to add a photo as well. Drop this in, and I now have my name and my photo for my profile. So we can click on next. It's then going to ask who else is on your team. So if you have any colleagues that you want to add to your Slack team, then you can simply enter their email in right here. We can do this at a later date, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So you can either invite them right now just by typing in their email, and then we can click on invite, or alternatively, you can just skip this step. Next, it's going to ask what is our team working on, and this is going to create a channel. So don't worry about this too much right now. We can create and we can remove channels, but let's just add a simple channel in here called YouTube content. Then we can choose between the free plan or the pro plan. And the difference between these is with the free plan, you get 90 days of message history as opposed to unlimited message history. So it stores all of the messages on your Slack team forever. The free plan also only allows one-on-one audio and video conversations. So only 2 members can be on a call at the same time. Whereas with the pro version, you can have like group meets within inside of Slack. The free plan also allows 10 apps or integrations opposed to the pro going for unlimited. So what I would recommend is start with free, and then if you do need to upgrade later down the line, then you can upgrade right there. Just like that, we are now in our Slack channel. So now that we are inside of Slack and you have created your account and potentially even workspace if you are the owner of this, the next thing that I recommend to do is actually download the Slack app. You absolutely can use Slack on the browser, just like I am doing right here. I'm on Google Chrome and I'm using Slack right now. However, I highly recommend downloading the desktop app as the user interface is a lot better. So to do this, just open a new tab and in here, search for Slack download. Then we want to go for one of these options depending on what you are on. If you are on Windows, go for this top option. If you are on Mac, go for this second option. And then we can simply go in and download the app right here. Once the app is downloaded, we can go ahead and open this up and then click sign into Slack. So I've now signed into Slack and I am now on the desktop version of Slack right here. As I said, the user interface is a lot nicer and it's just much easier and better to use this desktop version of Slack. Now that I have Slack, the first thing that I'm going to do, if we didn't do this earlier, is add colleagues and team members into my workspace. To do this, we just want to click on this plus icon, create new in this bottom left corner, and then we can go right here to invite people. Then we can enter in the email for the person that we would like to invite. And once that is entered, we can then click on send. This is then going to send an invite to the team member with this email, and they can sign up for their Slack account like I showed you earlier in the video. So let's click on finish. And although they show up in the direct messages, we are still waiting for this person to accept our Slack invite. So let's go ahead and do that now. Perfect. James has now accepted our invite, and we can see this because we now have a notification in the direct message area. As you can see, Slack tells us when this person accepts the invitation, and this person is now part of our team. So that is how you can add new members to your Slack workspace. Let's now break down how Slack actually works and how you can use this software. The base level of Slack, as you have already seen, is the workspace that we create. So as you can see, I have already created this GeForce North workspace. And this is essentially the top level. So what you could do if you had a really large business and you wanted to create different workspaces for marketing and a different workspace for sales and a different workspace for all of the different subdivisions within your company, then you absolutely could do this right here and have all of these different workspaces. Then inside of each workspace, we have these things called channels. And channels are basically where people can talk about different things or categories inside of the Slack workspace. So as you can see, the channel that I created when setting up this workspace was YouTube content. And then by default, we are also given random and general channels. So we could go in here and let's say that we want to start talking about YouTube content. As the owner, I could go in here and start communicating with my team about YouTube content specifically, because this is the channel that we are in. So in here, I'm just going to go to the bottom and type out my message. So I'm going to say, hey guys, does anybody have any content ideas? And then I can click send. And this is going to be sent specifically to the YouTube content channel. If I go into any of the other channels, you can see this message does not appear because I put this specifically in YouTube content. Let's say that I now want to create a channel specifically about editing my thumbnails for my YouTube channel. To do this, we just click on add channels right here. Then we can create a new channel. And then I'm going to go in and just call this YouTube thumbnails. Then we can click on next. We can then choose the visibility. So if this is public, this can be viewed by anybody that is within my Slack workspace, or we can set this to private and have this only viewed by specific people. So for this channel, let's set this to public and allow anybody to view this. And as you can see, when we create this, because I set this to public, everybody who is within my team, which right now is only James, is going to be added to this channel. Alternatively, we can create a private channel. So let's create a private channel. And let's call this secret source because this is where all of the top level secrets are going to be. So let's go next. And I don't want just anybody in the entire team to be able to see this. So let's set this to private. Then we can click on create. And it's now going to ask who we want to add into this workspace. So let's say, for example, I want to add in James. I just start typing in James right here. Then I can add James and add. And now at this point, only me and James can see the content inside of secret source. For anybody else on my Slack team who is not added into this private channel, they will not be able to see this and they will not be able to access the content or the messages inside. You can also clearly see between which channels are public or private because the public channels have this hashtag icon next to them and the private channels are going to have this padlock. You can also see the members that are included in each channel. So let's say I want to see who is able to view this private channel right here. I can right click on this channel, go to view channel details right here. And then if I go over to members, I can see all of the members that are in this channel and are able to access the content inside. Next, let's take a deeper dive into the actual content within the channels and what we can add into here. So I'm going to go to the YouTube thumbnails channel and I'm going to start talking about thumbnails. So let's go down and start typing out a message. And let's say I need a thumbnail for a Slack tutorial. That is the basic message right here. But as you can see above this, we have a few different settings for how we can format and edit this text. So first of all, we have bold. If we want to bold the text, we can just highlight this and click on bold. And just like that, you can see that text is now bold. If we want to go back and delete this, we highlight again, click on bold. And just like that, this is unbolded. We can also bold just certain words by highlighting that word, clicking on bold, and as you can see, that specific word is now going to be bold. We can also do this for italics. So as you can see, that word is now going to be italicized. and strike through, which is going to add a strike through to that word. We also have a link option. So if you want to add a link in right here, then we could add a link. So as an example, what I'm going to do is just link Slack so that if people click on this, it's going to take them to slack.com. So let's highlight the word once again, click on this link icon, and now we can add the link in right here. So if I go to Slack and just copy this URL, then we can go back over, add the link in right here, save, and as you can see, this is now going to turn blue. So people from my team can now click on, and they can go to the link that I linked in right there. Another thing that you might want to do, especially if you have a longer message, is add breaks into your text. To do this, just hold the Shift key and enter. And as you can see, we can now add breaks and we can move down different lines. I'm going to go back to here though. And now I can start typing out something new. So I could type out something new right here. And that's how you can add a break. Next, we have these numbered and bulleted list. So let's say that I wanted to create some instructions on how we could create this thumbnail. So in here, I'm actually going to say how to create thumbnail. Then let's go down once again. And in here, we can add a numbered list. So we can say 1, and let's say watch video and screenshot thumbnail image. Then once again, we will go Shift and enter to move down the line. We'll say remove background from image. Move down again, then we have the third point, move into Photoshop, and you get the idea. We can just type this all out right there. Alternatively, we also have this bulleted list. So this is just in bullet points. If we move down, we can just type out bullet points, move down, type out bullet points, move down, and so on and so forth. We can also add a block queue, and this is just going to add some kind of like highlight to a specific section of text. So what I could do is highlight this bulleted list, click on this block queue right here, and it's just going to add this bar to the side to highlight this area. We also have some options down here at the bottom. The first and arguably the most important is attach. So just like an email where you can attach a file or an image or anything else that you would like to add to that email, we can attach files here also. So we can click on this plus icon. In here, we can click on upload from your computer, and we can then choose a file that I want to upload. I'm just going to upload this thumbnail right here that I created a few days ago from one of my other YouTube videos as an example. And as you can see, that has now loaded in. So this file is now attached. Next along, we have this hide formatting button, which is essentially just going to hide these formatting options at the top. If I click on this, they are going to disappear. And if I click this again, they are going to come back. We can add emojis using this button right here. So if you want to add any emojis into your text right here, you can just click on emoji. You can even search for an emoji. So if I go for like the UK, I can add a UK flag in right there. If I go for smile, I can add some smiling emojis in. And then let's send this for now because I want to show you how you can mention someone. So I can click on send right there. And as you can see, this message has now been sent. So I have the message, I have the link right here that people can click on. They will be taken over to Slack. I have the step-by-step instructions, some emojis that I added. I then have the image or the file that I attached. So my team members can click into this. And then if they want to download this, they can click on this download button. And as you can see, that is now going to be downloaded to my computer. We also have this at the bottom, and this is essentially the link right here. It's just going to add this again at the bottom and show a bigger way of opening this up. So this is just basically this link. Now, the next thing that we need to touch on is mentioning someone. Because what you will usually find within Slack is people will sometimes turn their notifications off, because when it comes to Slack, by default, all notifications are on. So this means that for every single team member within your organization, they are going to get a notification every single time somebody sends a message like that. Now, especially if you have a big organization or if you are part of a big organization, when you have a lot of people in the Slack channel and they are sending messages all the time, you can get pretty frustrated by these notifications if you are trying to work. Now, I will show you how you can edit and turn off certain notifications later on. And what you will find is that most people do this. They will turn all notifications off. And what people will usually do is make it so that only mentioned notifications are on. So to mention somebody, let's say we want to mention James, I can click on @, and then as you can see, everybody in the channel is going to pop up. So I can start typing @James. And now, because I have mentioned him, if he has the setting off for all notifications, he's usually going to leave this on. So this means if I send a regular message like this, James isn't going to get a notification. But if I tag James like this, and then type my message, James is going to get a notification, and he is more likely to see this. So that is mentions right there. We can also record a video clip. Now, I don't have my camera plugged in at the moment, but if I did, I could just go in here, turn my camera on. So I would just click this button. As I said, I don't have my camera plugged in, but your camera would show up. And then we also have the microphone connected. So you could just click on record right here, record your video, whatever you need to say. You can also share your screen. And then whatever video you recorded, you can then upload it into the Slack channel for the rest of the channel to see. We can also record voice notes or audio clips. So let's just record a quick audio clip right here. Hey guys, thanks for the awesome work today. It was absolutely fantastic. Then we can click on this checkmark icon, and that audio clip is now going to load in. So I can just click on send. And as we can see, that audio clip is now there, and the rest of the channel can come in here, click on play. Hey guys, thanks for the awesome work. And as you can see, that is going to play right there. We also get an AI transcript of this. So this is awesome for if you have a team member that is maybe out in public, they can't listen to the message. They can see a transcript right here, and they can see exactly what you said. If I hover over any of these messages, what you will also see is we have these reactions on this right-hand side. So this is just an easy way for you or your team to come in here, see a message, and then react to it, acknowledge that message, without actually having to type anything yourself. So if I just go up to this, let's say I am a team member, and I see Riley's message saying that he needs a thumbnail for Slack. Well, instead of typing out an entire message myself, I can just go up and either drop one of these reactions, or click on another reaction and find any of these emojis to react with. So maybe I want to react with a thumbs up right here. I can just click on this. And then as you can see, the thumbs up is going to be shown. And I can also see, if I hover over this, who reacted with that thumbs up. So because it was me, it just says you right here. But let's say James reacted with the thumbs up. Well, right here, it would say James reacted with the thumbs up. Within messages, we can also create threads. So let's say that I want to react to this message, but since then, there have been a few messages since. So right here, let's say there's been a few messages, but I just checked Slack and I want to respond to this message right here. Well, what I could do is just go up to the top corner, click on reply in thread right here. And then as you can see, it's going to open up this thread down the right-hand side. So let's say that I am James in this example. This is going to show up as me, but let's just imagine this message is of James. And James is just going to say, I'm on it. Then we can click on send. And as you can see, this message is not going to show up. It's actually going to show up as a reply right here. So I can click in. I can see exactly what James replied. And then I can go through, I can carry on the conversation within this thread. And as I said, none of this is going to show up at the bottom. It's all going to show up within this thread. This is an awesome feature because you can create different conversations within channels by using this feature. So within this thread, we might be talking about this specific thumbnail. Then later on in the day, we might add another thumbnail in here, create a new thread where we are talking about the new thumbnail, whilst we can also go back into here and we can talk about this thumbnail as well. So a very awesome feature right there. What you also may notice when the Slack channels start to fill up and you start to get a lot of messages in here, you might come to Slack one day and think, hey, I remember a message that Riley sent a week ago that was pretty important, but I can't find this. And if I was to scroll back through a week's worth of messages, it's going to be hard to find and I might not even be able to find it. Well, that is exactly what this search bar is for. So what I could do is, let's say this message right here was sent a week ago and I can't find it anymore, but I know that it was a thumbnail for a Slack tutorial. Well, what I could do is go to this search bar and let's search Slack tutorial. And look at this, recent messages in YouTube thumbnails. I need a thumbnail for a Slack tutorial. Perfect, I just found the message. So I can now click in and that is now going to take me directly back to that message. So I can now see this. I can see the message. If I want to even add a reply and create a thread right here, then I absolutely can. And that is how you can use this search bar at the top. You can even search for specific people. So let's say that I want to see all of the messages that Riley has sent. Well, I just search for his name. Then we can see from Riley. I can click in. And then right here, I can see all of the messages that have been sent specifically from Riley. So we now have a good understanding of how these channels work and how you can communicate inside of channels. However, each individual person within Slack is going to have different preferences and different ways that they want to see and use each channel. So let's take a look at how we can set our own preferences. We can see all of the channels that we are involved in on this left-hand side. And for each individual channel, we can go to the channel, so YouTube thumbnails, right click on this. And right here, we can see all of the settings that we have. Now, the first thing that we want to go in and change is the notifications. So right now, you can see it's by default set to every new message. And as I said earlier, this can get very frustrating and annoying if you're trying to do work and you hear Slack pinging every few seconds. Really frustrating. So we can actually go into each channel and we can change notifications. So for YouTube thumbnails, let's go in and change this. And I can change this to mentions. And what this means is only when I get a mention, like this right here, this @ symbol, and somebody mentions me, that's the only time that I'm going to get a notification. Alternatively, if you don't use this channel at all, if this is not a channel that you are involved in, we can set this to nothing. And this means that even if somebody mentions you, you won't get a notification. So I don't recommend this. If somebody mentioned you, they probably did this for a reason. Now, within this, we also have the mentions at channel and at here. So I will show you what they mean. For now, let's just save changes. And I forgot to mention this earlier. So not only can somebody mention you by just going at James, for example, and mentioning James, but we can also go at here. And this is going to notify every online member in this channel. So only people who are online, but everybody in the channel. I can go there and it's going to ping everybody. Or I can go at channel and this is going to notify everybody in this channel, regardless of whether they are online or not. So we have at here and at channel that is going to ping everyone. And if I just go back into the settings right here, we can turn this on or off. So also include at channel or at here. We can turn this off if we want, or I would recommend just keeping this on. Now, another thing that we can do is we can actually mute certain channels. So if we mute a channel, it's essentially going to gray it out and have it right here at the bottom. So let's say, for example, I'm a thumbnail editor. I don't create YouTube content. What I might want to do is just go down and mute the channel. And then as you can see, it's going to be grayed out at the bottom. This means that I'm not going to receive any notifications, but if somebody does mention me, it's going to show up as like a little one right here, but I won't actually get a notification for that. If you want to unmute a channel, we just go back in, unmute channel, and that channel is now going to be unmuted. We can also do something called starring channels. So because I'm a thumbnail editor, this is a pretty important channel. What I'm going to do is right click on this and star this channel. And then it's going to go into its specific own category called starred. So we have starred right here, and then we have channels. Now, the main reason that you would do this is if you have a lot of channels, like if you are part of a big company and you have loads and loads of channels down here, it can be pretty hard to navigate to the channel that you want. So right now with just 5 channels, it's still going to be pretty easy. But if we had a bunch of channels right there, then this starred option is going to be very, very handy. That's how we can star. And then if we want to unstar, we just right click, unstar channel, just like that. Another thing that we can do is we can leave specific channels. So YouTube content, by default, I'm going to be added to this. But if I'm really never going to be part of YouTube content, then it's kind of just taking up space and it's going to be a distraction. So what we can do is right click on this and then click on leave channel. And as you can see, that's just going to take me out of this channel, not involve me anymore, and I'm not going to be able to see that channel. And then the final thing that I'm going to talk about is specifically for an owner of a workspace. If you want to delete a channel, let's say we want to delete random right here. We just go there, right click, view channel details. Then we can go over to settings right here. And then you can see we have a few options. We can change this channel to private. We can archive the channel for everyone, or we can delete this channel. So let's just go delete, permanently delete, and delete. And that channel is now going to be deleted for everyone. Next, let's talk about direct messages and also calls that you can do inside of Slack. Starting out with calls, the first type of call that we have is going to be a huddle. If we hover over this, as you can see, it says have a quick chat, just like you would in an office. So there are voice first. There's no need to be camera ready, but we can also add a camera if we want. So what we can do is click into huddle. And as you can see, this is going to open up a huddle in this bottom left corner. It's going to show up like this for all of your team members. And right here for me, where it says you're the only one, well, for your team members, they will be able to join this huddle just by clicking right here. They'll have text that says join, so they click, and then they are a part of this huddle. So let's open this up into the bigger screen and open up the huddle window. As you can see, I am the only person that is involved in this huddle right now, but other team members can join, and right now it's just a voice chat. But if we want to make this cameras, then we can turn on video right here. As I say, my camera isn't connected, so it's not going to let me, but if my camera was connected, then my camera would show up. You can also mute yourself, which is pretty important. You can mute and unmute yourself right here. You can also share your screen. So you can go in, you can share your screen if you want to. We can also go in here and add reactions. So if you want to react to something without saying anything, you can add a reaction right there. And then we have a few other settings that aren't really as important, but we can go to show captions. You can choose to show captions for the huddle. You can also choose the video background right here for your camera. So if you want to blur the background behind you when the camera is on, or choose any of these other backgrounds, you can right there. You can also choose your video and mic settings right here. And then finally, we can also go to choose huddle theme and then set one of these themes to the background. So let's say we want this one, we can set theme, and then it's going to show up right there. Each huddle is also going to have a thread. So let's say someone is presenting right now. You and your team members can use this thread on the right hand side to like type things out. And then it's going to show like this, where we have a chat at the side. And you can type out if somebody is presenting or something without actually having to butt in, turn your mic on, and then start talking. We can leave a huddle at any time by clicking on leave. And then when nobody else is in the huddle, it's going to close up. And the text right here, where it says we can join, this is going to close up and nobody else will be able to join. They will instead have to start a new huddle by clicking on huddle up here. And if I do this, you can see it's going to start a new huddle, and we can see the difference between these two huddles that were started right there. Now, the thread that we had, just to show you once again, if I open up huddle right here, the thread that we have on the side of the huddle is actually going to show up underneath the huddle right here. So you can see we have 2 replies for this huddle. And if we click on this, this is going to show the chat that was had within the huddle area. Next, let's talk about direct messages. So you might have specific members of your team that you want to talk to without having everybody else in the channel be able to see this. So this is the direct messages area. If I specifically want to talk to James, rather than talking to the entire team, well, I can just click into James right here and start talking specifically to James. So I could say like, hey James, and then only James is going to see this. And it's going to not only notify him, but he's also going to see like a little 1 icon if you sent 1 message. If you sent 2, then it's going to show him that you had 2 messages. And that's the direct message area. You can reply back and forth, and it's only the 2 of you that are going to be messaging. You can also do a 1-to-1 huddle right here. So instead of having a huddle inside of the YouTube thumbnails channel, I could just specifically huddle with James. So I would just click on James or the team member you want to huddle with. I can then go to huddle, and then this is going to invite James. So as you can see, he received a notification to join. James can then join in right here, and then we can have a 1-to-1 conversation within this huddle right here. So let's leave this. So with that said, you now know 90% of what you need to know inside of Slack. The final thing that we are going to talk about in this Slack tutorial is just some back-end preferences that you can set up to customize your experience. So what we can do from here is click on your profile icon in this bottom left corner, and we can then go to preferences right here. Now, preferences, these are meta preferences, overall preferences for the entirety of Slack. So earlier on, when we were setting notifications, this was just for specific channels. However, this right here is preferences for your entire Slack account. So if I was to set notify me about nothing right here, this is going to automatically set this to all of these channels. So no matter what channel this is in, I'm going to receive no notifications. When I'm first setting up my Slack account, I always just turn on direct messages, mentions, and keywords. I always turn this onto this setting, but just make sure that the rest of your team knows that you have this on so that they know specifically to mention you. We can also turn on huddle notifications. We can turn on thread notifications. So I do like to have those on. Then we can also go down to keyword right here. And this is going to show a badge next to the channel list right here every time somebody uses one of your keywords. So if I'm a thumbnail editor, I might want to go in here and say thumbnail. Then click on the comma. And now every time somebody says thumbnail, it's going to show a little one icon to show me that they have mentioned this. I might also want to add my name, which is Riley, as a second keyword, and also get a badge anytime somebody mentions my name. We can also go down to notification schedule, so you can set a schedule for when you are allowed to receive notifications. So for example, let's say that you finish work at 5 p.m. You probably don't want notifications after that time. So we can say weekdays from 8 to 7. This is the only time I'm able to receive notifications. We can also change the sound and appearance right here, but we can go down and change it to any other notification sound that you want. You can also choose a notification sound for when you send a message. So as soon as you hit enter, do you want to hear a sound when it does this? So we can set that right there. And then we have a few other sound settings that you can set up. Next, we can go down to navigations, and this is where you can choose the tabs that show up in this sidebar. So for example, I can turn on Huddles right here, and that's going to show up. And now if I go to the Huddles area, this is going to show me all of the active huddles that members of this team are having. But let's go back into preferences right there. We have some other preferences right here to what we show in the sidebar. So we can turn on threads, so we can easily access them. We can turn on unread messages so that we can easily access them in the sidebar. We can choose how these are sorted, so alphabetically by most recent. This is the one that I usually set these to. And what I will say is I would recommend just going in here, seeing what all of these settings are and what they do, because I don't want to go super deep into the back-end preferences because it's just going to drag this video out. However, one important thing is the theme right here. So we can set the theme to light or dark mode. That is absolutely blinding. We can then choose the theme color right here. So you can set this to any of these. Some of these can look pretty cool and awesome, but you can set those up right there. We can then go to messages and media. So if I just show you how this looks, go to preferences once again, messages and media. We can choose if this is going to look clean or compact. So compact is just going to basically minimize these and make more messages appear on your screen, whereas clean is going to spread them out a bit. We can then choose how the name is going to show up right here for each Slack member. We can choose the language and region, accessibility settings, so zoom and things like this. When you mark messages as read, audio and video, so you can set up your camera and your microphone in this area. And then let's go back out. Once we back out of that, we can also go down. You can go into your profile settings right here. We can click into edit and you can change your profile photo. You can change your display name, your title, the time zone so that your team members know what time you are in, your name pronunciation if you have a name that's a little bit difficult to pronounce, and then we can save the changes right there. Finally, we can go in, you can pause your notifications for a specific time. So let's say you are out of office for 2 hours. We can pause notifications right there. And then right now I am set to active, but you can set yourself as away so people know you are away. And then you can also update your status right here. So I could maybe say I'm in a meeting, set that right there. And now my team members know that I am in a meeting and I won't be able to respond to their Slack messages. So that is my complete Slack tutorial. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to smash that like button and tap that subscribe button. And until next time, take it easy.